I can only speak as a woman. And there are a lot of women who I've spoken to lately, someone going through divorce, someone going through separation, someone who's fighting and standing. And I'm writing my book called The Uncovered Wife. And when you are a betrayed and standing wife, you have to weigh the pros and the cons. And so when you're depositing love, trust, honesty, faithfulness, commitment, and you go to make that withdrawal, and what you get back is betrayal, disrespect, coldness. He's not depositing what you see the difference. And I'm gonna bring it Bible today. We're gonna go Bible. In Matthew 25, from 14 to 30, I don't know if I'm gonna read the whole thing. You have the parable of talents, and what you see is, for it is as if a man going on a journey summoned his slaves and entrusted his property to them. To one he gave 5 talents, to another he gave 2, and to another he gave 1, to each according to his ability. I'm gonna stick a pin there. To one he gave 5, to another he gave 2, and to another he gave 1, to each to his ability. That means that I'm not going to give you more than you can bear, because you're not going to be able to handle it. Anyways, then he went away at once. The one who received the 5 talents went off and traded with them and made 5 more talents. In the same way, the one who had received the 2 talents made 2 more talents, but the one who had received the 1 dug a hole in the ground and hid his master's money. And after the master returned, he came back. Then the one who had received the 5 talents came forward, bringing the 5 more talents, saying, Master, you handed over to me 5 talents. See, I have made 5 more. He doubled it. He took that deposit and doubled it. The master said, Well done, thy good and faithful servant. I will put you in charge of many things. With whom much is given, much is required. And when you take care of what you are given, you are able to withdraw more from it. You're able to grow. Your investment doubled. Let me not jump ahead of myself. The one with the 2 talents also came forward, saying, Master, you handed me 2 talents. See, I have made 2 more. He doubled it. Okay, he didn't just receive the deposit. He was able to withdraw from it. He doubled it. Okay. Then the one who received the 1 did nothing with it and ended up losing it, because the master gave it to the one who doubled. I'm not going to read the whole thing. But I want you, I'm using this scripture today because a lot of the times we're putting and investing in relationships. We're sowing seeds into relationships. And if you're in a relationship with someone who operates in narcissism, fear, cheating, emotional abuse, financial abuse, and that person does not deposit the same things that you're depositing, they are sowing your seed into the ground and wasting it. Whereas they could be doubling it, they could be tripling it, they could be investing in it. It is really hard to be in a relationship with somebody and the scales are unbalanced. And I'm not just talking about not being evenly yoked spiritually. Because, for example, when my husband and I met, I was very much so in the world. We could both drink people under the table. I was a full-blown functioning alcoholic. And when I gave my life to Christ, those are things that I changed. That doesn't mean that I went with the Bible over his head and was like, you need to come to Christ. I still have to love him through his process. We're not evenly yoked now, but that doesn't mean that I jump ship and abandon him, where if it were me, I'd want somebody to fight for my salvation. That being said, not being evenly yoked is not just spiritual, it is financial, mental, physical, and emotional. When you are in a relationship with somebody and you're depositing all of the positive stuff into the relationship, expecting to withdraw safety, security, comfort, right? They're depositing negativity and still expecting to withdraw what you are depositing and not pouring back into you. That is an overdrawn account. When the woman becomes so overwhelmed and burned out from carrying all the emotional weight herself, what you are going to get is a woman who doesn't feel safe. Your wife is a representation of you and what you put into her. As a husband, she's pouring into you, and you get to walk around looking good, looking clean, looking taken care of, looking appreciated. People can big you up and say, yo, your wife is good. She is left carrying the emotional weight and burden of the household, of the marriage, and you're nowhere to be found. If you are depositing negativity, your wife becomes a reflection of you. If you're not treating your husband good, your husband becomes a reflection of you. You end up in emotionally overdrawn relationships because there is no balance in the relationship. If all you are depositing into your wife is cheating, abuse, manipulation, confusion, betrayal, and she becomes hard and cold because of it, she doesn't feel safe. How is she going to continue to deposit love? How is she going to continue to deposit the positive things that you want out of a partner? And then when she becomes cold and doesn't want to hold you anymore, you say, oh, you're cold to me, you're this, you're that, but you're not making her feel safe. When you abuse your husband and he becomes cold and distant, you have to remember that what you deposited into your relationship is what you're now withdrawing. And it is extremely exhausting for one person to be depositing something positive and be withdrawing burnout. What you value, you take care of. If you had a pair of white sneakers, you wouldn't scuff them. You would come home and wipe them down. You wouldn't crease them. You would make sure your sneakers is taken care of. If you had a gold chain, nobody could say nothing to you about your gold chain. You would take care of your gold chain. A relationship, even though it is not a physical thing that you wear, still needs maintenance. It still needs to be treated with love and respect and care. You cannot disrespect your spouse, okay? Have people disrespecting your spouse and expect your spouse to continue to be soft. You need to put your friends in their place. You need to remove people who threaten your spouse's peace. Again, when it comes to me and my husband, disrespect my husband on my phone and you getting blocked and exposed, okay? My mouth don't belong to me. I will holler like a bird. I will snitch. Okay, you will get blocked. If you so much as make my husband uncomfortable, I don't need to be around you. That is a commitment I've made to making sure that my husband feels safe in the relationship. You cannot deposit negativity into somebody and expect to withdraw warmth and comfort. Eventually, the candle's going to burn out. You're no longer going to get heat from somewhere that is in a negative balance. The Lord does not bless mess. Like we saw in Matthew 25, the person said, you gave me 5 talents, sir, and I was able to double it and come back with 5 more. And the master said, you can be trusted with much. I will give you more. If as a wife, you are giving your husband love and all the things that he's looking for, respect, peace, safety, loyalty, and he comes back with that, it's been doubled, you can now give more. When you're not butting heads with each other, there isn't strife, there isn't competition, there's no next woman who's going to come to you woman to woman. There's no competition, there's no issue. When there is nothing to argue about when it comes to disrespect, and you're able to pour into each other, you're able to invest that time that you could have been using arguing into something else. Husband and wife, the two have become one flesh. You are now a partnership. You are a team. You could be hustling and making money together. Start a business, right? You don't want to start a business, you don't want to be a work from home mom, cool, or a stay-at-home mom, cool. The both of you guys could be moving to create generational legacy for your family, generational wealth. You could be trusted with so much more if you are investing the right things into your relationship. You cannot deposit a lack of vulnerability, coldness, right? Yeah, I cheated, but just get over it. Not comfort your spouse while they're uncomfortable. Disrespect them and have people in your life disrespect them. That's the next thing. You see my family, they're no longer my immediate family because I have a husband and children. And if you threaten that structure, you have got to go. I have no problem cutting people off. Nobody should come before the family you are building so that you can build generational wealth. And to me, The idea that a man can have a wife, a girlfriend, and all of these things is a generational curse that everybody keeps coming into agreement with because music and media makes it look hot and popular. It's not cool. It's not okay. It's not okay because you saw other people in your family do it and now you get to. That is a generational blockage. It will hinder your bloodline. And what you do not deal with, your children have to deal with. If you're going to deposit absolute distrust and dysfunction into your relationship, you cannot continue to try to withdraw love and comfort. Where is the safety in that? When your wife is a reflection of you, that means that you have poured into her and she can feel safe no matter what comes her way. When you are pouring love and investing into your husband and he can look good on road because he's safe and he's comfortable, you are pouring into somebody who can now withdraw what you've deposited into them. If you are leaving the scales unbalanced, the other person who's pouring positively into the relationship is going to burn out. They start to question if they're valued. They start to question their worth. They start to question whether they can speak up. They start to feel silenced, and that is still a form of abuse. If you have to question whether or not you're good enough for your partner, it is still a form of abuse. You have to go out of your way to protect your partner's image so people don't know what you are enduring at home. That is still a form of abuse. And a lot of people mistreat their spouses because they know that their spouse isn't going anywhere. You cannot expect a healthy, functioning relationship when you are not evenly depositing into the relationship's bank account. And I'm not just talking financial. I'm talking about the heart deposit. You start out love bombing. You start out with all the good things, and then your person gets comfortable and you pull the rug from underneath them and they start to question, where is the safe landing? I shouldn't have to protect myself against a safe space. When you are in a relationship, you're not supposed to protect yourself against who is there to keep you safe. When I first had my son, I said it's a damn shame that as his mom, it's my job to protect him, and now I have to protect him from his other parent who is supposed to be keeping him safe. If you're the only person depositing love and respect and you can never go into the relationship bank and get it back, you are going to withdraw burnout, exhaustion, a dysregulated nervous system, skin breaking out, hair dropping out, skin dry. All of a sudden there's an autoimmune disease. Stress develops autoimmune diseases. When you find that spiritually your relationship is constantly under attack and you guys can't even come to the same place and be on a certain level, you have to look at the bank account. Is this relationship emotionally overdrawn? Are we emotionally bankrupt in our relationship? If you have to start questioning your worth in the relationship, what's a priority in the relationship? If you have to look at yourself and say, yo, I've been with this person 10, 15, 20 years, and I've never come first. It's time for you to start putting yourself first because you are emotionally overdrawn. That is a form of burnout. You cannot be the only person doing all things. You're supposed to be getting ready to go on a trip. You packed your bags, you packed the bags for the kids, and he packs his own bag. And he knows where you're going. He knows what's needed on the trip. And you forget one item. But he made sure he had his. He didn't help you and say, did you remember this? Or let me grab this and do this for you and alleviate the stress. But then he turned to you and said, how could you forget that? You know we needed it. Meanwhile, while you were packing, you had to tend to the children, take care of yourself, bathe, cook. And that person only had to focus on themselves. Where is the safety in that? He was trusted with one talent because the person that gave him the talent knew that he was not going to make use of it. He buried it, brought it back and said, here's the talent that you trusted me with. And his master said, you wasteful human being. You could have done so much more with this. I invested in you. I trusted you with what I had, and I wasn't able to withdraw it back. Everybody else was able to double it. Everybody else was able to double what I deposited. And you came back with the same amount that I gave you. You're wasteful. So as a matter of fact, I'm taking it back and giving it to the ones who made good use of what I gave them. If we treated relationships like that, I am depositing 5 talents: love, communication, honesty, respect, and loyalty. Right? And then came back and said, you've doubled it and given it back to me. We're in a balanced relationship. But when I come back and you haven't doubled it, you've actually given me disrespect, disloyalty, dishonesty, betrayal, and cheating. I'm taking back what I've sold into this relationship and sowing it somewhere else. I used to, for example, when my husband and I were separated, up until a certain point, I was starting to see somebody else, and the Lord convicted me. The Lord said to me, I will not send you your kingdom spouse while you're still married to somebody else. So you're either going to stay married or you're filing for a divorce. And for a very long time, I thought we were getting a divorce, child. I didn't know I'd be here today. Okay? The Lord had to deal with me and remove me from my flesh from the situation. When that conviction came, I was absolutely abstinent for 2.5 years that it took for me to come back here and be in this relationship. I was alone. The Lord had to deal with me. Right? The hardness, the bitterness, the anger, the resentment, the unforgiveness. And I say all the time, you will stay in a cycle of forgiveness if the person you're forgiving doesn't stop doing the very things they apologize for. At that point, an apology is changed behavior. At that point, if someone is still apologizing for the same thing over and over again, it's manipulation, because they know you're not going anywhere. In that 2.5 years, I had to take what I was depositing into this relationship and deposit it into myself, so that when I came here, I wouldn't go into overdraft. There has to be balance in the relationship. You cannot deposit all of this and get this back and expect to feel comfortable. There's a man out there saying, oh, you know, you used to be so loving with me, you used to be so kind, you used to be so soft, you never used to provoke me to wrath, and it never used to get so violent. Now when I'm angry with you, I want to fight you because you provoke anger out of me, you provoke violence out of me. Your person is a reflection of what you've deposited into them. If the person you're with went from being loving, kind, soft, and gentle and wanting to cuddle and laugh and be fun with you to somebody who stays in defense mode, what did you deposit into them? How did that person go from being so loving and kind to being so angry with you that what you're withdrawing is violence? You have to both deposit the same things that you're expecting to withdraw from the relationship. Everybody likes to say, biblically, yes, true, the Lord hates divorce. It was never his design for divorce. Right? But it wasn't his design for our hearts to be hardened either, for us to be in unbalanced relationships. So one thing I tell people all the time, the Lord hates divorce, yes, but he also hates to see his daughters abused, misused, and violent. You cannot hear the Lord clearly in chaos. And you cannot heal where you're hurting. Get to safety. If you're depositing love, but you're afraid to make dinner the wrong way because it might be thrown in your face, how do you sleep at night knowing that the person beside you is somebody who you have to question, who you don't trust, who isn't depositing love into you? You've never seen that person cry. And when you ask them about their feelings, I don't catch feelings often, so how do you know that you love me? Do you love me, or do you love what I do for you? Do you love me, or do you love what I represent for you? Do you love me, or do you feel obligated to stay in this relationship? When things are not evenly yoked, it exposes itself one way or another. And you can post all of the happy pictures and present this idea of a happy family all you want. If it's not balanced, it will expose itself one way or another. We are to love people, but don't idolize them. Only Jesus will never fail us. That is exactly it. As I said earlier, in the 2.5 year separation, I had to deposit into me, and I had to allow the Lord to deposit into me. I had to remove and be stripped of and pruned of a lot of things, and that includes the idolization of relationships in general, not just my marriage. There's all of these wounds that I had to heal to get to a place where I could have that conversation, you know what I mean? But you have to accept that a lot of the times when you're pouring into somebody and they're not pouring back into you and you're withdrawing emptiness, it's time to stop pouring into an empty bucket. You have to stop pouring into an empty bucket. What you deposit is what you will withdraw, and it is important, key, no matter what part of your relationship it is in, to keep the head of the household your Lord and Savior, because marriage is a covenant between you and God. The two have become one flesh, and when you are one, you are a partnership, you are a team. Thank you. You balance each other out. You're not, one shouldn't be higher than the other. When your husband is submitted to Christ and you are submitted to your husband and things are evenly balanced, you can't go wrong. When you deposit love into your relationship and he's depositing love into your relationship, you can withdraw love out of your relationship. If you're depositing love into your relationship and you're getting betrayal, you're emotionally overdrawn. And that's where you get burnout. Your wife is a reflection of you. Your husband is a reflection of you. So if somebody's going to come up to you and say, you don't look happy, your nervous system is always dysregulated, that is a very good indication that as much as you're trying to mask and hide what's going on at home, people can see what's happening at home. If your partner's saying, you're not soft with me anymore, and all of a sudden you're cold, out of nowhere, what did you deposit and why are you trying to withdraw more than what you've given? Hard times shouldn't last for too long. And as someone who has always been in survival mode, it feels good to have a certain level of rest now. You shouldn't always feel fight or flight. You should not always feel this constant chaos spinning around your head. And for me, it was normal for so long until I completely submitted my walk to Christ. And then I realized there's nothing normal about dysfunction. And I was trying to make the dysfunction normal, and that sent a whole entire spiral in itself. If you want a balanced relationship, you have to give. You have to give. You have to give. And if at some point you realize you're giving what you're not getting back, you need to deposit it in that self and in yourself. And that sometimes looks like leaving and choosing yourself. This is imagery of an unbalanced relationship. You see a lot of women and they're like, why don't you just leave? Sometimes you just can't. An apology without changed behavior is manipulation, and they do this because they know you cannot go anywhere. Let me hush you for a minute. But I wrote in my book, you have to apply the appropriate treatment to the wound. I used to apply alcohol and wonder why I was walking around stinking. It's because I had my wounds infected and spewing all over the place. I was bleeding all over the place and wondering why I was attracting sharks. Every room that I entered had to smell my wound. Until you apply the appropriate treatment to your wound, you're not going to heal it. You're going to infect it. It's going to spread. And sometimes that means your limb has to get cut off. The healing process is not linear, but when you start to apply the appropriate treatments to your problems and find real solutions instead of trying to hide and mask it, you don't even have to revisit those conversations anymore. You don't have to withdraw from something that's overdrawn. You're no longer receiving emotional NSF fees. You can sit comfortably. And like I said, if you're not arguing over things all the time, you could use that energy to invest in your marriage and create generational legacy. Whether or not you choose to have children, your name can last long after you're gone. Because everybody who meets you can say, yo, that couple reminded me of, that couple was an example of love. I love love. I love, especially black love, child. Ooh. When you can look at somebody and say, they left a lasting impression, and those two loved each other because they both deposited into their relationship. And because they were peaceful people, they had the ability to pour into everybody else and leave a lasting legacy. A lot of people have come to me lately and said, how did you know your marriage was worth fighting for? For a long time, I didn't. For a long time, I didn't. We got married for the wrong reasons. We rushed it. And it came down to, again, the Lord saying, I will not send you your kingdom spouse while you're already married to somebody else. So you need to choose. Are you staying married or are you filing for divorce? I had to fast and pray and petition the courts of heaven to even be where I am today. And that doesn't mean the work stops. You have to continue to pour into your relationships. You have to be able to sow into your partner and tear down generational, what your family's used to seeing. You have to, like I say it all the time, Jesus and therapy go hand in hand. Go hand in hand. What you sow is what you need to sow into yourself and into your partner and heal those wounds, like heal for real. Yes, like I said, dinner's ready. Thanks for joining me today. Back soon. All right, bye guys.